So till now we have seen about a lot of supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Okay, so we had a little understanding with respect to what is supervised learning, and a lot of like little understanding with the non-supervised learning, and we have learned a lot of algorithms in both categories. Okay, so like in this video we'll be completely dealing with what exactly is supervised learning and what exactly is unsupervised learning. So it and we'll be seeing the thorough difference between the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So this video will be like kind of a most kind of a revision video, and also will give out few more insights about supervised and unsupervised learning. So to recap, these are the two techniques of machine learning. So both techniques are used in different scenarios with different data sets. Okay. So with respect to supervised learning, it will be monitored by one of the person, whereas unsupervised means it is like whereas there won't be any person to be modified. So basically, to have a basic understanding of it, it is like the analogous would be supervised learning would be a teacher teaching you of something, and unsupervised would be self-learning. Okay. Again, coming to supervised learning, it is a machine learning method in which models are trained using labeled data. So this is the main first and most difference between supervised and unsupervised. So supervised as models trained using labeled data. In supervised learning, models needs to find mapping functions to map the input variables and the output variables. So if you consider the mapping variables like input functions as x, then output function would be something like f of x, so function of x. Okay. So supervised learning needs supervision to train the model, which is similar to like a student learning things in the presence of a teacher. Okay. Supervised learning again has two types of problems, one being classification and other being regression. Okay, so those are the two types of different problems where it is available. Okay, so again we'll have a separate video with respect to the difference between classification and regression to a short video. Okay, and like again with respect to an example, suppose we have images of different types of fruits. So the task of our supervised learning model is to identify the fruits and classify them accordingly. So to identify the image in the supervised learning, we will give the input data as well as the output for that. Okay, so that is the training data, which means the model will be trained by the shape, color, maybe taste of each fruit. Okay, so all these are features. So once training is complete, we will test the model giving the new set of fruits. Okay, so here we won't be giving the what exactly the fruit is. Okay, so we are validating, so that's why it is called as test data set or validation set. So the model will identify the fruit or predict the output using the suitable algorithms. Okay, so that is supervised. And a brief introduction about unsupervised learning is another machine learning method in which patterns uh, inferred from the unlabeled input data. So the goal of unsupervised learning is to find structures and patterns from the input data. Okay, unsupervised learning does not need any supervision. So instead of it finds pattern from the data by its own. Okay, so unsupervised is most dominantly it is like clustering and association. Okay, so to understand this again, we'll consider an example similar to how we had seen for supervised learning. So unlike supervised learning, here we do not provide any supervision to the model. So we just provide the input data set to the model, allow the model to find patterns from data set with a suitable algorithm. Okay, so the model will be trained itself and divide the fruit into different groups according to the more similar features between them. Okay, so those are the quick introduction. So let us see the difference now. So supervised learning, first one is always the first and most things where everyone will get into their mind. So supervised learning algorithms are trained using labeled data, and unsupervised algorithms are trained using using unlabeled data. Okay, and the second difference is supervised learning model takes direct feedback to check if it is predicting correct output or not. Okay, so it will be giving the supervised labeled data, right? So it will have a comparison, and unsupervised does not take any feedback. Okay, so it will just go ahead and predict the data, and supervised learning model predicts the output whereas unsupervised finds the hidden pattern in the data. Okay, so supervised only concentrate more on the outcome, but whereas unsupervised is like finding the hidden patterns in the data. And in supervised learning, input data is provided to the model along with the output. Okay, so input data is also provided, but in unsupervised, only the input data is provided to the model. Okay, so we won't be giving any output, so that it will figure out its own patterns. And the goal of supervised learning is to train the model so that it predicts the output when new data is given to it. Okay, so whereas the goal of unsupervised learning is to find the hidden patterns and useful insights from the unknown data set. Okay, so supervised learning needs supervision to train the model, and supervised does not need supervision to train the model. And coming to the categories, classification and regression, whereas unsupervised, like most commonly clustering, and we have association problems. So a few more difference we have. So supervised learning can be used for those cases where we know the input as well as the corresponding output. Okay, so it is the opposite case when it comes to unsupervised. So the data, whenever the data does not has any corresponding output for the inputs, we have only the inputs. So at that scenario, we will be using unsupervised learning. And supervised learning models produces more accurate results since we already have expected output data. So it is like better training. Okay, so someone is supervising those data, so that's why. Whereas unsupervised model may give less accurate, but comparatively with respect to supervised learning. Supervised learning is not close to true. Okay, artificial intelligence, as in in this we first train the model for each data set, and then only we'll predict the correct output. Okay, but unsupervised is more close to true artificial intelligence, as it learns similar as a child learning it from its daily routine. Okay, so the patterns and all will give a lot of experience for the unsupervised. So it is like kind of an artificial intelligence. Okay, and coming to the algorithms, so supervised data we have logistic regression, linear regression, support vector machines, multi-class classification, device tree, Bayesian logics, so etc. So we have seen almost everything. And here we have clustering. So basically clustering, KNN, pre algorithms. Okay, and coming to final difference. So supervised can be used for those cases where we know the output as well as the corresponding input. So here we have only I think this point is repeated. Okay, so the first point and last point is repeated over here. Just ignore that. So that's all with respect to the supervised learning and unsupervised learning, the key difference.